Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
Good morning, you beautiful people. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. Doom Eternal lives up to the hype. It is an absolutely breathtaking game to look at. It is a wonderful gameplay experience that the combat chess sort of phrase they were using perfectly describes the combat in this game. And yes, it absolutely ruins Doom 2016 for me. The best part, in my opinion, has got to be the gameplay. This is incredibly fast-paced, but it has so much more depth and strategy in its mechanics that I just absolutely love. There is going to be a game maker's toolkit. There's going to be a Race of Egg video about this. Like, this is a beautiful gameplay combat loop. The weapons feel like they've all been buffed. The energy rifle is so much stronger, the heavy assault rifle is so much stronger, the basic shotgun so much stronger. I absolutely love all of these weapons. They are incredibly fun to use. The upgrades you get with them also make them so much fun to use. I just want to use every gun all the time, which is great because that is exactly what the game wants you to do. However, the weapons being so fun wouldn't be as entertaining if the enemies weren't as fun to shoot in the face. The new way they fall apart when you shoot them just creates a beautiful positive feedback loop and that sort of recognition that you've got a shot on target. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the variety of enemies. I love all the new enemies, the pain elementals, the archviles. I love the tyrants and the cyber demons in here. I actually really love the Marauders and the Doom Hunters. They are absolutely beautiful additions. We'll talk about the Marauder later because I do see a little problem with that later on, but for the most part, I love the way these new enemies interact with that combat chess style of gameplay here. On top of that, I love the way the equipment works. Obviously, you guys know how, if you've seen anything about Doom Eternal, you glory kill to get health, you flame belch, you light enemies on fire in order to get armor back, and you chainsaw people who you want to get ammo from. And all of that's really nice that we've got a lot of that from Doom 2016, but it's so much more emphasized here. If you've seen my Doom 2016 playthrough, you can go check that out now. I just recently posted it. You'll notice towards the end of the missions, I was like, man, I'm never using my chainsaw. I always have chainsaw, gasoline and everything. I never used my chainsaw in that game. In Doom Eternal, the game pretty much forces you to use the mechanics the way they were intended. That first room, that first encounter you would get with that combat shotgun with all the imps, zombies, and undead soldiers, you run out of ammo multiple times in that one room alone. And a lot of people are getting upset by that because they're like, oh, I'm being forced to use a chainsaw. Oh, I'm running out of ammo constantly. This is ridiculous. But that's the way the game wants you to play it. And that's actually a really fun way to play, in my opinion, because the game does something really smart. Towards the later missions, there will be a constant stream of zombies, imps, and those undead soldiers because, well, they're pretty much cannon fodder at that point. You're dealing with arachnotrons, you're dealing with tyrants, you're dealing with doom hunters and much bigger bads in the arena. And for those bigger bads, you're going to need the right type of ammo. And if you don't have that right type of ammo and you've killed all of the zombies, you've killed all the imps, it's not really a fair position to put you in. So the game is smart, so it spawns in constantly zombies and imps so that you can chainsaw them at any point in time and get some sort of ammo back. But it's even smarter because there's a constant one charge refill of your chainsaw. So you're never without chainsaw, which means you're never without ammo, which means you're never without any ability to put into place the combat loop, the combat chess play style that they want you to play with. It is a fundamentally amazing feedback loop that they have created, and I am absolutely hardcore addicted to it. I wish I could go on and on about the combat loop and the weapons because I really could, but I do want to focus on a couple of my favorite, at least some noteworthy demons to talk about. The Doom Hunter you kind of get this boss battle type cutscene beforehand, and it's pretty epic. There's one mission that dedicates to introducing this bad guy, this demon, and it's beautiful. They tease you about it, they show you his construction, they show you how they make them in the facility, and then you get to fight him with the shield, and you have to energy shield, you have to use a different weapon for his base, you have to use a different weapon for him. It's such a really unique and interesting demon, and I absolutely love it. And we do need to talk about the Marauder, because people are having trouble, and I completely understand why. Now, in principle, the Marauder is one of those big heavy enemies, similar to the Doom Hunter, to where you should deal with all of the other demons first, and then you can deal with the Marauder very last. That's what I did, that's what I had the most success with. However, killing this guy, getting any shots on target with this guy is pretty difficult. Now, the only way you can get shots on him is when his eyes glow green, and it's a timing thing. It's a glow, kill him, and then he falters, and you can get more damage done onto him. But during my playthrough, I really only found that I could only shoot him with the super shotgun, and that meant that I needed super shotgun ammo all the time. Now, luckily they always spawn in zombies, so I can always chainsaw zombies and imps and all that stuff. However, I felt very restricted to this, and it really didn't feel like the rest of the combat puzzle where I could use different weapons for different positive or negative effects. I wanted to use the chain gun after he faltered. I wanted to use the ballista on him, but it was just so difficult to get that timing right. That could just be us as a community, it could be me just not being used to it, being bad, but I don't know. It was something noteworthy that he might need a little bit of a nerf because he seems a little bit too powerful, but honestly, I didn't have that much of an issue with him. He was just pretty annoying. Mind you, I played this on Hurt Me Plenty, not anything like noteworthy or anything. I'm gonna do a playthrough on Ultraviolence next, but as of Hurt Me Plenty, he was just annoying rather than just really frustrating. And finally, in terms of gameplay, all I have to say is the last 4 missions, the last 4 levels of this game, they are insane. Like, absolutely, like, they throw everything at you. I thought Vega from that mission in Doom 2016, I thought that one was crazy. No, that's tame. That doesn't even come close to the ridiculousness of the last 4 levels of this game. It is non-stop action with every single demon, archviles, tyrants, cyber demons, pain elementals, cacodemons, every single demon, gargoyles, just, it's ridiculous. It's incredible, and I loved it so much. Let's move on to a different form of gameplay people are talking about. This is not just an action game, it is also a semi-mild adventure game. There's a lot of platforming here. There's a lot of poles that you can swing on. There's lots of walls that you can climb onto. And yes, everyone's talking about how Mario-esque there are flames spinning in the air for some platforming stages. But honestly, playing through this platforming was just one way to get from one side of the stage to the other, from one engagement to the other, and it was pretty entertaining in my opinion. Because of this reason, exploration is how you get unlocks and upgrades, and unlocks and upgrades are a pretty big deal in Doom Eternal. They're basically the same as Doom 2016. I've seen a lot of people say that they're too overwhelming and confusing. It's literally just reskins of everything we had in Doom 2016. You have a Praetor suit thing, you have weapon upgrades, you have the actual weapon upgrade points, and then you have like Sentinel stuff that you can get for, I don't know, there's runes, I don't know. I wasn't overwhelmed because I played Doom 2016. People said they were overwhelmed. I didn't quite get it. But anyway, you get these amazing upgrades through exploration, looking at your minimap, and this part of the game really felt like Metroid Prime. I mean, it really felt just like an R-rated hellish Metroid Prime. And I love Metroid Prime, so this sort of adventure stuff, kind of look at the map, see there's a secret over there, figure out how to engineer the architecture, see if there's a punch slot or a air shaft that I can double jump into or a spike I can swing up on, was really fun and entertaining for me. And it doesn't take a lot of time. It's just a really quick, simple side quest little thing. And it's just you get it, and then more than usually, the pathway leads back into the main pathway, and it's pretty inoffensive. I really like these little platforming sections, exploration sections, whatever you want to call them. I had fun with them. The one problem I did have is climbing can be kind of clunky, but one thing that helped me out, I don't know if you guys are playing this game or not, but if you dash into a wall, it will automatically climb for you. But what I was doing is I was dashing, and then mid-dash I would hit E, because that's the climb button, and it would register both inputs. I'd dash into the wall, grab onto it, then it would register my E click, and then it would let go and I would fall. So just dash into it or click E, one of the two, and that way it's a little less clunky. As far as something else people might talk about this game, the story of Doom Eternal is actually much more grandiose than I remember ever being in any Doom game here. Now, there's a lot of people saying that it's confusing, convoluted, and doesn't make a lot of sense, and I can kind of see why that's the case. I read a lot of the codex entries, so the story really makes sense to me. There's so much lore and so much backstory to everything, and this is funny because it's also like Metroid Prime, where the codex entries are like, you know, the scans that you get in Metroid Prime, where you have to go into your logbook and read out every little thing. And if you're really here for the story and you just want to watch the cutscenes and listen to the dialogue, the story might not make the most sense to you. It's still a cohesive story. You understand what you're doing and why you're doing it every single time, but it's just not as kind of padded or not thought out, but really fleshed out in-game as it is in the codex entries, which it is what it is. Some people are going to like it, some people aren't going to like it. If you aren't in for the story, which a lot of people in Doom aren't there for the story, they're just there for killing demons, there's a lovely thing to where you can skip all of the cutscenes at any point in time. I saw a complaint on Reddit saying that it takes you like 30 seconds to start playing Doom 2016, but it takes you like 2.5 minutes to get through the opening cutscene here in Doom Eternal. You can just skip the opening cutscene and be right into the action. Like, there is no excuse. If you just want to play the game, you can do that. And for that reason, it has the best story of any video game ever. That's the best thing. If you can skip all the cutscenes, best story ever. In terms of specifics, we figure out who exactly the Doomslayer is in his past, and that's amazing. We see so much lore building that I love it. I'm gonna do research on this because there's so much here to talk about, to listen, and to understand. Now, there's some weird stuff in terms of how this connects with Doom 2016, like why the Doomslayer has Vega in his Fortress of Doom, what happened to Samuel Hayden. I'm sure that's in the codex entries that I need to read, but there's some weird things that if you're not reading the codex entries, you don't really get explained to you. But overall, like I said, that's not the biggest deal to me. And don't you worry, the information that you get from the subtext of just the environments and everything around the world that you're traversing through does a really good job, and a lot of good subtle storytelling as well. There's a lot of good subtext there. And finally, we're going to talk about bosses now. So if you don't want to spoil the endgame bosses for you, I'd highly recommend switching off of this video right now. But I'm gonna talk about them because they are definitely worth talking about. The first real boss you get is this a guard. I forget exactly his name, but this is my favorite boss fight in the game because he does a wonderful job telling you. He has a lot of good tells of his attacks. He has a really decent and generous window that you can stun him, and it's just a really fair and fun boss fight. You're in this gladiatorial arena, and oh, it's just gorgeous. He's so well done because every attack he does has a counter, and you have a really obvious way, an effective way of dealing damage to him. Now, there are two other bosses. The second to last boss, I think I just messed up on. I had a really bad experience with it, as you'll see in the background here. I ran out of ammo, and I was trying to just ignore the cannon fodder enemies, and I think this is where I went wrong. I really didn't like this boss, but I think it's my fault. Because what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to stun this boss and then meat hook your way up to him and then punch him. And I kept running out of ammo to everything. Now, the thing is, the small enemies you're seeing in the arena here, if you headshot them, they explode with ammo. Like, I have no idea why I didn't think about it. Yes, these enemies were introduced like this mission, but like I knew they exploded with ammo. It just didn't register for me. So I had a tough time playing this boss, but I bet you I'm gonna like this boss later on. So, second boss, a little bit rocky for me, but I think that's just my stupidity, not necessarily game design. And my thought process, it's really good. You have unlimited ammo supply with the enemies. You can dodge their attacks. I don't know if their attacks are really good at dodging, which worries me because they make the floor like hot lava or something. I don't really like that. But overall, I think it'll be decent after I get a little practice with it. Now, the final boss. I really love the look of this boss. And I really don't mind the mechanics of the boss itself. I'm going to show you right now. It is, you fight the Icon of Sin, which has, and in my opinion, a really fun backstory to him. If you're reading the Codex entries, I would highly advise you to read all the Codex entries because it makes this final boss kind of have more gravitas to it and more history and everything and mean more. And it looks awesome. It's epic. Like, it looks fantastic. But it's not like the previous boss where they throw in cannon fodder enemies to give you ammo. They're throwing in archviles. They're throwing in pain elementals. They're throwing in tyrants. They're throwing in arachnotrons and just the biggest, baddest guys they got in both of these stages. And I hated that. I'm a firm believer that if your boss needs other enemies in order to be threatening, then you've designed a poorly designed boss. Gears of War 4 did this with its Swarmach. The Swarmach is an interesting mechanical boss, but the developers figured out that it doesn't pose much of a threat. So in order to make the player be more, in more of a threatening situation, they added in a lot of powerful enemies, but that distracted you from the boss too much, so much so that it made the whole entire thing frustrating and unrewarding. And that's exactly how I feel with this ending boss fight. I had maybe like 30 plus extra lives at the end of this because I did play it on Hurt Me Plenty and it wasn't all that difficult. But I used like maybe 6 to 7 of them just for this boss fight, just because I was like, this is stupid. Like, I don't want to deal with these big bad guys. Now, they give you ammo for your big guns to use it, but they're infinitely respawning, so I don't like that mechanic at all. Like, they were having mancubi in there. It left a bad taste in my mouth. But that's really the only negative complaint I have with Doom Eternal. I guess the other negative complaint I have is, dang it, I wish it were longer. I was told everyone was saying that it's like a 20-hour campaign, and I beat it in 10 hours. So I was hoping for like more missions, more levels and that stuff, and hopefully there is going to be more content and everything. I know with the master levels coming out with DLC, but I had such an enjoyable time here with Doom Eternal, and I'm definitely gonna replay it again on a higher difficulty. I might even play it on Nightmare if I get through it on Ultra Violence, alright. But anyway, that's Doom Eternal. The hype is real, believe it, guys. If you've watched my Doom 2016 playthrough, which you definitely should go check out, it's one of my favorite playthroughs I've done, then you'll know that I'm really excited for this game, and it really did live up to my hype, which not a lot of games do. Modern Warfare. But anyway, that's all I have time for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you're interested in Doom or more Doom content. If you are interested in more Doom content, comment below and let me know. And like the video, of course. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next absolutely beautiful Doom morning. I'll catch up with you guys later. And as always, stay beautiful.